You're talking about like seeing goals as having happened, seeing your health and thriving in these. If you talked about those three buckets, if we're not doing one of those buckets, we're essentially 33% behind where we could be. And if we're not practicing with two of those buckets, your craft, most people, that's obvious, right? Because we were taught that as children to like, oh, if you want to be good at soccer, you got to kick the ball against the wall a bunch. But these other aspects of the game and by extension, business and now life, those we're potentially missing out on that stuff if we're not training it with the same sort of approach. Is that a fair statement? And how would you add to that?
You've nailed it, and so here's where we landed is that I'll use 20 years ago just for some grounding, is that there was this idea that psychology was for the weak because the medical model studies dysfunction, and psychology sprung from the medical model. So we studied the dysfunctions, the disorders, the diseases of the mind, if you will. And it got a little bit of a bad rap, and we've tabooed, psychology in a way that's for the weak. It's changing. It's been changing over the last kind of 15 years, and there's been some real advances in the last 5 years. Still not enough.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely not enough. When you go into those honest environments where people are fundamentally committed to understanding their potential, and I'll give you a very concrete example in a minute, that they are pulling for psychology. They are saying, I need more. I need to be more grounded, more clear. I need to figure out shit on the fly. So I need to be more creative when the stakes are really high. How can I be more present? How can I be more fluid? So they're pulling us into the room as opposed to like, what? We don't need that weakness. Get out. Like, it's not that. So, and that's where many kind of average environments might be right now. They're like, oh yeah, psychology is good for those people, but not like meaning the weaker people. But I don't need it. I'm good. I'm strong. That's going away the dodo. And people are going to get left behind because when you invest in what we have come to understand to be one of the most powerful machines, I'm butchering this beautiful neural networks of brains and this complicated idea of a mind. It's the most powerful system we have on the planet. And if you don't invest in that, like, it's going to run the show now. And the brain's dictum is to just keep you alive. That's it. It just stay alive. So it scans the world to find all the danger. It's picking up all the threat detection mechanisms. And that's not the good life. That's maybe a long life, but that's not the good life. It's certainly not a high performing life. And so I want to make this concrete example is there's a person that's in your backyard, Luke Akins. So Luke Akins gives me a call and he says, hey, Mike. Now he's one of the best in the world in flying out of airplanes. Okay. Jumping off of high towers, base jumping and wingsuiting and parachuting. He's one of the best flat out in the world. So he calls and he says, Mike, I want to go up 30,000 feet. This is basically where airliners travel and I want to jump. What do you think? I go, yeah, well, okay. Like you could do that in your sleep. And he says, yeah, but this one, I want to do without a parachute. I go, okay, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, I want to build a 16-story net that's about as big as a 4-car garage. And I think I can hit that thing. And to do that, though, I want to make sure my mind, my mental skills, like all of my internal faculty are rock solid. You want to go to work? I'm like, yeah, let's go to work. So those are the types of conditions and environments that I'm talking about where people have to be locked in to be their very best. Because if they make a mistake, like if you don't hit the net and you don't have a parachute on your back, and by the way, when you jump from 30,000 feet, or when next time you're up at 30,000 feet, imagine how big, just find a house, and that's the target he has to hit. And if he misses that target, game over. So I want to bring those best practices into living rooms and meeting rooms and boardrooms. And there is a better way. There's a way to be more free, to have more energy, to have a deeper zest for life. And it's not expensive. It takes a little bit of time and a little bit of attention to knowing how to work with your own mind. And the way I think of psychology right now is the study of oneself. And like, if you want to be better at anything, you need to study it, right? And I mean, really study it. And so it's really an exciting time because we've got about 50 years of the science of the psychology of excellence. And that's what we're borrowing from.